Welcome to I'll Be There, the ultimate wedding podcast by Priya
and Nim
from Pristine Events. Whether you're a bride-to-be
or a groom gearing up
or just a wedding lover at heart, we've got you.
Welcome back to the next episode of I'll Be There by Pristine Events. I'm Nim.
I'm Priya.
And today we're going to be talking all about speeches.
So guys, take note because we always get asked about how to build timelines and where to put your speeches in. And there's so much to consider when talking about speeches. And Nim is the king of speeches, I would say.
Well, I didn't want this to come up, but obviously this has come up completely organically. But yeah, I've given a few speeches in my day.
How many have you given?
I haven't been counting, but I've given 8.
Yeah, you actually have. I reckon you can get to 10.
Yeah, those aren't like groom speeches. You are my first bride.
I hope so.
Hopefully my last. But no, like, yeah, groomsman speeches, yeah.
Fine.
Well, one was with my sister. I don't think I was her best man, but...
You could have been a man of honour.
I wasn't, but yeah. I've given a few, so I know a thing or two about speeches.
And you also heavily critique speeches, don't you?
Yeah, but I don't want it to seem like I'm like a Simon Cowell, like giving a score. But, you know, we go to so many weddings, so it's very easy to get sort of speech fatigue from listening to so many of the same stories and the same types of speeches. And you know when they've kind of just Googled, like there used to be, actually, I remember when I gave my first speech, there was this website. This is like 10 years ago or like 8 years ago or something. There was a website where you had to like have a password to get in, and it was like this sort of vault of like good speeches, and then you realize after a while like everyone was giving the same speech, like based on these like kind of jokes that were kind of running through all these speeches on this website. But now obviously with like the advent of AI and ChatGPT, you can sort of hear when like people are saying things which have been not organically produced.
I realised that because I recently have heard 2 speeches, and they used, when the first time I heard this line, I was like, oh my god, this is such a beautiful line, like I want to use this for my sister's wedding speech. And then I heard it again at the following wedding, and then I was like, hey, obviously there's been some ChatGPT. It might
not be ChatGPT though, it might just be like, oh, they've heard it somewhere and they think it's a good line, which I mean
well, one of them said they used ChatGPT, so I assumed maybe it was, but it could just be like you said, like a nice line that people have heard, or on Google just recommendations and stuff. But the line was like it was a sibling speech, and it was I hope that you have as much growing old with her as I've had growing up with her. I don't know why I'm getting emotional now, but even like,
a good line,
it was really sweet. And I remember when I heard it, I was like, oh my god, I need to use this when I do a speech for my sister's wedding, because
so you were going to steal it as well.
Yeah, I was. But when the first time I heard it, I thought it was really unique. I didn't realise like it was a thing. But anyway,
I think few things are completely authentically original these days, right? Like it's very hard.
Yeah, true.
Like a poet.
True.
But yeah, no, we've heard a few, so I don't critique them. I just, you know, sometimes if I've heard it a few times before, I might have to leave the room and sort something else out for something in the wedding. Yeah.
I actually love speeches because for me, I feel like it's the part of the day where we get to know more about our couples, especially like the on the day couples where we don't know as much about them compared to like our full planning or partial planning couples. So although obviously we've got to know them in the month before, it's nice to hear their story, to hear what their friends think of them, hear more about their character. I always get really emotional at the parent speeches, like the father of the bride one. I'm always like sobbing out, or like a sibling one. I just think where I'm really close to my family, I feel like I really resonate with it, and it makes me really emotional.
And I think that's why it's important to have people who are giving speeches who mean something to you.
Yeah.
As a priority, and then I think it's picking people who are good at speeches. Yeah. Because not everybody who means something to you is going to be necessarily good at speeches. True. But I still think that they should say something.
Really? Even if they're awkward or like.
Well, I think if it's like, for example, like the father of the bride, I think he should say something.
Yeah.
And if he's not particularly good, maybe get another sibling or cousin or friend to stand with him and help him. I think if it's your best friend and they're crap, then you can maybe get a second best friend or another friend to do it.
Yeah.
We've been to a couple actually quite recently where, I mean, this goes back on what I just said, but like the father bride got up and like he did this like big sort of like procession to get up and like dance to Daddy's Cool, and like, you know, it was like waving to the crowd and everything, and like really built up his speech. And then he literally said one line, and it was just like, I hope you have a great life together. And then sort of like went and hugged his daughter and then just sat down. I was like, that's just pointless.
Yeah.
Like, why?
Yeah.
Just say that when guests are coming in. Be
Yeah.
like, I hope you have a great time, or
Yeah.
whatever he said.
That's what I mean. I don't think you should just speak for the sake of speaking. Like, if you don't,
Yeah.
if you haven't practiced, or if you find it really hard,
Yeah.
maybe do something else instead.
Yeah.
And
But I think in that particular situation, I think the daughter should have maybe just checked, like, how's the speech going?
yeah,
And then get a sibling to be like, hey, dad,
practice.
or cousin, or someone, be like, oh, his wife, or someone to just be like, hey, can I just check the speech? And just make sure it's, like, substantial,
Yeah.
at least, like, a minute.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Because even for my dad's speech at our wedding, the twins, my brother and sister, helped him.
Yeah, that's because you're a control freak, and you...
No, but I mean, I just think it's nice to just read it through. They, like, edited some bits and helped him because he's not a natural speech giver, and he was really nervous about it.
Yeah.
And he wanted to do a good job. So
Yeah.
they had checked it through. But even if he was a confident speech giver, I still would have said to them, can you just check it through? As a parent, anyway, I think. But anyway, let's go on to who or how many speeches.
Yeah, I mean, I think, first of all, most people who are listening to this are having a single day event, or at least a single event where all the speeches are being given.
Yeah.
So, like, your reception.
Yeah.
But let's exclude your civil, where there might be a couple of readings, because that's maybe a separate conversation. But it's probably going to be at your reception.
Yeah.
I would say a typical reception starts at 6 p.m, finishes at midnight.
Yeah.
So you've got 6 hours of food, drink, dancing. I think in that time, I think 3 to 5 speeches, I think, is the sweet spot. I think anything more than that is just too much.
Agree.
And the guests are not going to care. I appreciate, some people have really big families. If you've got like a 700-person wedding, there are obviously going to be more people there, or you'd think there'd be more people there that are important to you, that you might want to say something like, oh, I've got my cousins, my friends, my work colleagues, my sports colleagues, my whatever, gym colleagues, like all these people from different walks of your life, but also no one cares.
Yeah.
So, like, just get the kind of most important people. And I think that means maybe a parent from each side, parent and or sibling from each side, which makes 2. The groom is naturally going to make a speech. Doesn't have to be. You made a speech at our civil. So that's 3. And then I think you should get, your bridesmaids, 1 from them, and the groomsmen, 1 from them. And I think if you're then going to start getting cousins and all the aforementioned random people, then I think you need to take one of the other ones out.
Yeah, I agree. I think we've done a few receptions where it's been like 7 to 10 speeches.
Yeah.
And we pre-warn the couples, this is too many.
Yeah.
And we say, like, guests are going to tap out. It's going to make things run late. And quite often couples will be like, oh, no, it's fine. I've told them it's only going to be 3 minutes, so it's going to be really quick. And I'm like, no, because on the day, first of all, it's not just the 3-minute speech. It's the introduction by the DJ or the MC. It's the music they play to get up there.
Yeah.
They're then a bit nervous. Even if they say it's 3 minutes, by the time they deliver it, they wait for the claps or the laughs.
Yeah.
Then after the speech is done, they go and give a hug to the couple.
Yeah.
Then they go back to the seat. That's an extra 3 or 4 minutes. Actually, you're doubling each speech time.
Correct.
And people don't appreciate that. So then what happens is the whole thing just runs late.
Yeah.
Because you've allocated 5 minutes and actually it's taken 7 or 8 minutes per speech. And if you've got 10 speeches, that's like 70 minutes worth of speeches. And that's too much. Like, guests do tap out.
Yeah.
And they become, especially if they're waiting for their mains in that time, they become very agitated.
Yeah.
So,
and on that point, I think, having 1 6-minute speech is shorter than having 2 3-minute speeches because of the time, the faffing around in between. And I think, for example, if you do want like 2 different friend groups to give speeches, combine them, stand on stage together, so that cuts out one of the entrances, that cuts out some of the sitting down time, that cuts out some of maybe the clapping time in between, but also you don't repeat stories as well, because hopefully you would have got a Google Doc and made the speech together, or at least read through each other's, so that you know that you're not repeating stories. That's the worst, when you're hearing the same story over and over again.
Yeah, I agree. I was actually just going to say that point, because we've seen quite a lot where sometimes they'll have a friend from, actually I had that at, for our India wedding for my friends. I had 2 friends from secondary school and a friend from university, and then they had like combine their speech so that they weren't repeating things, but it was along the same theme, but they all said their own thing. So it's much better that way, I think.
And I think similarly, so we've talked about having a single day event, so having a reception, that's 3 to 5. I think if you're having a multi-day event, and that might be a sangeet and then a reception, or a pre-wedding party and then a reception, or a destination wedding where you've got 6 events spread over the course of 3 days, then I think you should still try and spread them out a little bit.
Agree.
I don't make every event a speech and dance event. But reception kind of have your most important speeches, I would say. So that's normally the groom speech or the bride speech where you're thanking all the guests. Like, that just makes sense. The father of the bride speech, I think, should be at the reception. But then spread out your friends' speeches, spread out your colleague speeches.
I agree. And I think also it just means that people will listen more because there's like a couple of speeches like sprinkled around rather than like consistently in one evening, which usually impacts food or drink service because typically the bar is closed. So people just get wound up. And on that note, in deciding who to do speeches and how many speeches, I'm going to say this to the camera. If you have any relatives that are hinting to you about doing a speech and you don't want them to do a speech, please just tell them really clearly. Like, I know it can be awkward, but please just tell them, because otherwise what happens is if you like pussyfoot around the topic, then on the day they come up to Nim and I and they're like, I am the bride's XYZ, I am the groom's XYZ, I am the father of the bride's XYZ, and it's really important that I make a speech today. I want to do it as a surprise, so can you just fit me in? Can you just fit me in? And it's so awkward because
no bride and groom wants a surprise speech.
Agree.
Particularly from an elderly relative. And I know that sounds really horrible, but they just don't. Like, just go to the house and maybe read it to them or something.
Or write it down and send it to them.
Yeah, write it down
the wedding
and
card.
Or text them, WhatsApp them or something. Send an email or a letter. Like, just don't get up. You don't have a theme song, and also don't come up with a theme song, entrance song, or speech song. And just no one wants to hear your like ramblings about like how you grew up with their dad. Like, it's not, the dad's not getting married. Like, the bride and groom are getting married. And inevitably they'll be like, oh, I've checked with their side relative, but they have, and most of the time it's like the groom side, and like stereotyping a bit here, but it's like the groom's like mum's cousin's friend or some like rogue relation, and they've been like, oh I did bring it up with the groom, so he said it should be fine. I'm like, okay, but we've been like planning this wedding, and I tell you this much, the groom has no idea what's going on, and like this needs to go via the bride. Like, this literally happened 2 weeks ago. It's like, no, I've spoken to the groom, i.e. like his son. And I was like, okay, let me just double check with both of them and see if that's okay. No, I've spoken to the groom. Right, okay. And then he was just like, speak to Priya. And I'm like, as in you. And I was like, okay, I mean, Priya's not the person who's going to be signing off on this. Like, we'll facilitate it, but we're not going to be the ones signing off on it. It needs to be the bride and groom.
Because actually, I think most of the time these requests that we get, like you said, are from older people. Because I think when weddings happened, I don't mean this to sound like rude, but when weddings happened when they were getting married or their friends were getting married, it was a lot less formal and structured. It was things ran late, there was less formalities, speeches weren't really a thing. It was very much just like, when everything happens, it happens. Whereas nowadays, like, couples put so much effort and time into things, and the reception is usually quite tight anyway. So you don't want things to run late, because all that happens is it eats into your dancing time. Then you have like an hour on the dance floor, and that's the 1 hour of the day that you can fully let loose. So they don't understand that, so they think that it's us being rude or us not being understanding about it, but actually that's not the case. We've got a strict timeline. Like I said, speeches don't take 3 minutes, even if they say, oh, it's a 2-minute speech. In the past, when that's happened, it's been 15 minutes because they've gone up there and gone on a tangent, and then the bride and groom are just looking like, oh my god, why is this happening? So I just think if people are hinting about doing speeches, please just tell them that you've got limited time, you're only asking a few people to do it, and maybe they can do one at your pre-event, or just try and shut them down that way.
I think
Now, I was going to say, obviously we're happy to be the bad guy, but it's better if you tell them before. Yeah,
tell them before. And like you said, I mean, I was being facetious earlier on when I said, you know, to write them a letter about it. But like, if there are informal pre-wedding events, like you're going to their house and you're packing boxes for, you know, the end of ceremony token to take home, favours, whatever they're called.
Tokens.
Probably know that. Then you can like give a speech. Like, if you're having like a small party at the house or something like that, just don't. Yeah, like you said, it's unfortunate because times have changed, and whilst you don't want weddings to be overproduced and like they're a formal event that has a program and a structure, if you don't have that, you won't be having fun as a bride and groom. You'll literally just be like listening to like ramblings from people.
And ultimately, if you care enough, you would have asked them to do a speech yourself. So like that is the reality of it. So we talked a little bit about who should speak. Obviously, father of the bride, groom, best man / groomsmen / friends, and then maid of honor / bridesmaids. You touched on this earlier. I have seen more brides do speeches recently, and I really
hay fevers.
Did you not take a tablet this morning?
No, I didn't.
For God's sake, Nim has really bad hay fever, guys, so I apologise for any sniffles and stuff. Yeah, so I think you touched on it earlier. I am loving seeing brides do speeches. When I did mine back in 2022, it was quite rare. Like, I hadn't really seen many people do it, but I just knew that I wanted to speak somewhere. Just because I feel like, when do you ever get the chance to address everyone that you love in one room?
Is that why you started this podcast, so that you have a platform to speak uninterrupted?
Yeah. It's just my dream. No, but like, I feel like it's really important. Like, when do you have all the people that you love in one room to like talk to and say thank yous to, and like formally thank your parents or your siblings or your in-laws and your friends? And like, it was just so important to me, and it was really nerve-wracking, but I'm so glad that I did it. And like, I cried through half of it, but it was, and even to be able to say something like to you, because typically the brides don't say their own thing back, and apart from the vows, if you're doing vows. So it was nice to be able to say like my thoughts to you. And yeah, so I think as brides, if you're thinking about it, definitely add yourself in there. I've seen some couples do joint speeches, so the bride will start and the
so
groom
that's what I was going to say. So I
over.
think joint speeches is something we're seeing a lot more of, and going on from what you were saying, I think the idea that the groom gives the speech to thank everybody is, I don't want to sound like too woke, but it's a bit like, not archaic or patriarchal, but you know, the man is kind of thanking everybody for coming, but ultimately like it's the couple who have invited everybody to come and had a good time. So I think definitely like think about the idea of doing like a couple speech, even if it's just a few words at the end, because it's the bride's day. I was gonna say it's the bride's day as much as the groom's day, but I think everyone knows it's the bride's day.
But that's even more a reason for you to speak, because actually, not to stereotype, but for the majority of couples, the bride is the one who's been driving it, visualizing it, putting in a lot of the work, at least initially. So actually, it is your big day to be able to say thank you to whoever has helped you, and whether it's like friends, family, suppliers, whoever you want to thank. Like, it's just a nice opportunity, because you won't get it again. So if you're confident, and if you feel like you're happy to do it, then do it. Obviously, if you're really nervous, and if you're not a good public speaker, and if you'll spend all day stressing about it, then don't do it, because you don't want to feel like nervous on your wedding day. You're already nervous enough. Okay, let's talk about how we structure, like, what's the flow. Like, if you have got 3 speeches, do you do it all in one go, and when do you split it up?
Well, I think it depends on how long the speeches are. I feel like all the questions you ask me, it depends on something else. But that's what's quite difficult, because when you're planning your wedding, you're planning the timelines. You've obviously been like, okay, cool, these are the people that I want to make speeches. I've asked them to make 3 speeches of 3 minutes long, whatever it is. But you don't actually know how long their speech is going to be. It might be 5 minutes, it might be 10 minutes. So to actually factor that in is a little bit tricky. If you've got screens, that again might add a level of complexity. For example, they've got videos to show or photos to show, and sounds and all this kind of stuff. They might want you to like get your chair up and come around and then watch the screen so that you can present things. I would say that, I think it's hard, like whether you're trying to please your own timeline or please the people who are giving the speeches, because most people who give speeches, myself included, will be like, hey, can I just do it like sooner rather than later? 1, because you get it out of the way and you can kind of relax a little bit and start drinking. But also 2, you're going to get that speech fatigue. Like by the 5th speech, you're kind of a bit done. And I think traditionally the best man speech is one of the latter ones. It's like the bridesmaid speech, because that's a bit of the warm up, you know. No one really cares. And then the groom's and then the
you're actually so rude to bridesmaid.
And the groomsman's speech comes, and then it's like, okay, this is the funny stuff, and then it's, you know, the groom's speech. I think traditionally it's the father of the bride who starts. And I think that's a nice way to kind of welcome everybody in. Or you could have the mother of the groom or parents of the bride and groom. I think that's a good way to do it. And then I think in the middle should be the kind of friend speeches. And then I think you end with the groom or the couple speech.
Okay, so if you've got 3 speeches, do you think you should do it all in one go? So like,
well, again, it depends. I think you will probably know what your crowd are like, and also what your speech givers are like. For example, if it's somebody who's not a notorious speech giver, or they're quite nervous.
Notorious speech giver, like you.
Oh, no. That's what they put in the background. For Uncle, please. For his dad editing the podcast. Like if they're not like a prolific speech giver, maybe that's a better word. But they're happy to do it. It's probably going to be a bit shorter, and then you probably can put like the bridesmaids and then the groom's speeches together, or the groomsmen's speeches together. But if you know they're gonna give, and you know that they're probably going to give like a 10-minute speech with videos, and they've asked you like whether you've got a screen and stuff, you know it's going to be longer, so then don't bunch everything together. Okay.
I agree. I think it's hard to know that though, because sometimes they don't know that until they won't start writing your speech till like a week or 2 before, typically. So I think it's really hard to build your timelines on it. I would say it also depends if you're serving starters or not, because sometimes people do massive canapes and kind of walking starters and then come in and have mains.
Yeah.
In which case you've probably got a bit more time to play with.
Yeah. I think you should bunch them as much as possible, but not all together. So if you've got 6, do 3 and 3 or 2 2 2.
Yeah. I think if you can, I would, I don't know, in my opinion, I feel like you should split it just once, i.e. there should just be a section before and a section after.
As I said, 3 3 or 2 2 2.
No, but 2 2 2 you're splitting 3 times, aren't you?
Well, yeah, there's 2 breaks. I give 2 options.
Yeah, but I know, but I was just saying, I just feel like only because the people then right at the end, it's quite a long time to then wait.
Yeah.
But I mean, it also depends, like you said, on how many courses you're serving.
Yeah, one of them's a groom, he just needs to suck it up.
Yeah. He also wants to have fun on his wedding. So I think try and keep it. I think if it's 3, you can just do it in a block and let it go. Any more than 3, it has to be split. Yeah. And then, like you said, it's up to you whether you do 3 and 3, 3 and 2, 3 and 1. Obviously the groom speeches always last. So if you're doing the groom speech opening into first dance into the dance floor, then that's obviously going to be after mains and desserts, unless you're doing a dessert buffet, in which case it will be after mains because the dessert buffet will open when the dance floor opens most of the time. So I think try and do it like that, but no more than 3 in a row. Even if they're going to be short, I just feel like it won't be short and people get really antsy. And on this note about antsy people, I get that it might be boring. I get there may not be good speeches.
I know what you're going to say.
I get that you might not even know the couple that well. And I get that you might just be there for free food and drink. But
just shut up.
Yeah, just shut up and listen to the speeches. I don't care. Like, I don't care if you don't care, but I find it so rude. And I know that I can be quite bossy when coordinating, but and at home and in life. But I just feel like I know it's just a normal Saturday to you, but this is someone's like biggest day of their lives, or one of their biggest days. Could not agree more. And so just like be quiet for 10 minutes and listen to the speech. The wedding we did recently last month, people were not whispering through the speeches, full on having a conversation, to the point where I was going to each table and asking them to shush and like giving loads of dirty looks, because I was like, this is so rude. These poor people are trying to give a speech and you can tell they're really nervous. You can tell nobody's listening to them. And like, just have a bit of respect. Like, I don't care like if I look rude shushing people, but I'm like, you're not just here for free food. Like, please just listen to the speech, or just be quiet, or go on your phone. If you're not interested, just quietly scroll on your phone and wait for the speech to be done. It just, honestly, it makes me really upset. And I can tell the couple are getting stressed because they're like, no one's listening. We can barely hear. And I'm like, I'm trying, but...
Yeah, then they kind of look at us and they're like, everyone's talking. And I'm like... okay.
Yeah, like what can we
tell
do?
The DJ, you go around shushing people, and then they just look at you like, who are you?
Yeah, literally.
You want the help.
Or they just carry on. They'll look at you and they'll nod and they'll just carry on talking, and I'm like, you can't win. But please just be quiet. It's not nice. And if you've ever given a speech yourself, you know how stressful it is, and so you just want a quiet room. That's just my little vent on that note. Mic drop. I also wanted to touch upon AV quickly. Yeah. Just some quick tips. So if you've got screens, you don't have to use them. But if you are planning on using them, or if your speech givers are planning on using them, ask them in advance and ask them if they're going to put pictures, videos, whatever they're doing, send it to the DJ beforehand, because they need to download it.
Like a week beforehand. Yeah. Like not on the day before, not on the day.
Not
a week
5 minutes before.
Yeah. People think, and myself included in this, I thought, okay, it's a PowerPoint, it's like a projector, you just plug it in. It's not. They have to completely reformat it, put it onto a different program, check that it works with the screens. Sometimes they have to like strip the audio from it in the video. It's. I mean, I said a lot of technical jargon. I might be talking absolute nonsense, but like, it is not the same as just plugging in a projector.
Yeah.
And on that note, if you're having AV and, for example, you're giving a speech and then it's like cue next slide or cue video or cue photographs, you should either write a script and highlight it so it's super clear to the AV person who'll be next to the laptop, or get a friend who you read the speech to sit next to them and prompt them. Very rarely do people have a clicker that they're going to use. And also, it's not a projector, so they probably won't have a clicker.
I've seen some that have it, but it's hit and miss. Like, some will have, some
won't.
But
don't rely on that, right? Like, just get somebody who knows the speech. Like, you inevitably read it to someone. Just get someone to sit there. Like, don't ask us, because we have other things to do. And also, I might need to leave the room. It's a crap speech.
I've done it before, but it is stressful because I haven't read the speech. So I'm relying entirely on, like, also I can't see the screen because I'm standing with the DJ. So I'm relying entirely on, like, following their script, following their words, and just it's a lot of pressure. So I think it's just better, like you said, to just send it in advance, make sure the DJ knows, and have someone there to do it. Yeah. Because otherwise it's a lot of pressure on us to...
Yeah. I mean, there's other things to discuss as well, like really like minor things, which having given a few speeches, like I know about. Like for example, if you're going to toast at the end, like if you three of you standing up giving a speech, like you all want to toast, but then do you walk up with a glass in your hand? But then what do you do with the glass while you're speaking? Is there a podium? Where do you leave that? Then you want to cheers at the end, but then you don't have a drink. Is the bar even open? What are you drinking? What are you toasting? Like there's loads of little questions that often need to be asked. And on that note, actually, I may have said this before. I probably have said this before because I'm quite passionate about it. But don't read your speech off your phone. I mean, I say this whilst Priya's looking at her phone for this, but that's different because that's not a script. That's like bullet points. But just don't use your phone, particularly as the groom. It just looks like you've just written the speech, in my opinion. And there can be like technical issues, like someone might ring you, the phone might die.
Yeah.
If it's on like a drive, you might not be able to connect to the internet. Just don't do it. Just print it off, like ideally on like a nice like bit of card.
Yeah.
On like what look like sort of prompts, but it can actually be the whole speech, and you just sort of flick through. Like you're not going to be able to see that.
Agree.
Second best option is just on a piece of paper. Like at the very, very last option is doing it on your phone.
Yeah,
or
agree.
like an iPad or something weird like that. An iPad might actually be okay because then it looks a bit like
more professional.
But
not only does it not look good in photos and just generally, but also like the actual AV production, like all the flashing lights and the DJ
like the glare from the screen.
You can get glare and actually can be quite hard to read. So like you said, just print it off. I think some other tips, I think you also mentioned this as well, about like that balance of mentioning personal private jokes and anecdotes and how to do it, but then also don't keep it too private because then nobody laughs and finds it funny.
I think as the parent of the groom or the family of the groom, like you can get away with saying private jokes or like really personal stories because that's the nature of it. But I think if you're the best man or the bridesmaids and you're giving these really niche stories that you had, like if part of your sentence is you had to be there, just don't say it, because if you had to be there, you're not going to understand what's going on. So just cut that out, and also avoid like too many crude jokes. Like you can sort of like toy with it and flirt around it. It's kind of expected as the bridesmaids and groomsmen, but don't talk about sex. Don't talk about drugs. Don't talk about illegal activities for the most part.
Yeah, we do a wedding recently. And they talked about all of it, and the parents were just like, what
it was just crude.
Yeah.
Like you got to be clever with it, and it has to be funny. Like if you think it's funny and nobody else thinks it's funny, like the joke's on you. Yeah, true. There's nothing worse. My heart always sinks when like someone delivers a funny line and nobody laugh. I have to laugh because I just feel so bad for them, because that in itself is funny. It's like Inception funny. No,
but like they're waiting for this like reaction and then nobody does anything, and like that's another thing. If you're in the crowd, just clap when you're supposed to clap, laugh when you're supposed to laugh, even if it's not funny. I always do that. I laugh at everything. I just feel bad. I just want people to feel like they're doing a good job, so I will laugh.
You didn't laugh at my jokes.
I did.
When I read 2 of my speeches to you beforehand.
Because I was saving
and I've been told that they were some of the greatest speeches of our generation.
Because I was saving to laugh in real life.
Okay.
I was holding
honestly,
it in.
Like, made me nervous. And now I'm like, I don't even care about your opinion. I read it to you just for the sake of it.
No, they were good. I just waited for the real thing.
Right.
But I think, just be a good audience in that sense. I think, like you said, have a drink ready on the side or somewhere so you can toast. The other point I put, and you touched on this earlier, was please don't get too drunk before. Like, we've seen a couple of really drunk, sloppy best speeches. Men. Like, can't really understand what they're saying. Mics all over the place, they're swaying, like nobody understands. It's just save it till the dance floor opens. I think. And I think that's kind of a big hopeful help to everyone in terms of speech giving.
A big hopeful help.
I meant to say hopefully a big help.
Hopefully
a big help to everyone who is thinking about speeches. Maybe we could also break it up and do a separate one on a groom speech, because that could be quite good to give tips on. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys, and we will see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Thanks for listening.
Please like, follow, subscribe for more.